My name is Kevin Kabor and I'm going to teach you how to make a video. I get asked a lot what equipment I use, what video software I use, and how does that process work. So I'm going to go over all of that today. The camera I use is a Sony a7R II. This isn't it, it's there, but it looks kind of like this when it's not rigged up with the battery grip that holds 2 batteries. When you're shooting, you can have longer, and a lens of your choice. Doesn't really matter. You can also use your phone for this video. The camera is not really going to matter too much, but frame rates do matter. So when you're shooting, you have options of how many frames per second you can get the video. So there's 24, there's 30, and there's 60 for a lot of cameras. 24 frames per second is what most films are filmed on. 30 is what most TV is filmed on. You can get slow motion shot by shooting it in 60 frames per second, and when you go in the timeline, we can slow that down. And then there's 120, and this is your ultra slow-mo clips. Your camera might not have 120, but 120 is how you get the super slow motion.
A whole entire world on silent. Be quiet.
Another thing you might want to take in consideration when filming is a tripod or a gimbal or some kind of thing to stabilize your footage, because you can fix shakiness in post, but it's just a lot better and easier if you do it in person. So okay, so the software we're going to be using is Davinci Resolve. It's completely free. 99% of you guys won't need the studio version, and if you do, there's no point in you watching this video. So stick with the free version. Is what I use for all my videos. So let's hop into Resolve. Now that we're in Resolve, let's take a quick tour just to get familiar. So this is the media tab. So this is where you're gonna put all your clips. So here is your drives to the left, and you'll just be able to go wherever videos are on your SD card and just drop all your footage. This is where I would organize my footage if I'm working on a project. Like, just right click and you just click add bin and label it, like, let's say red suit, for example, and I just click, and if I hold shift, if you're on the Mac, you can just select a whole bunch of them and then drag it into here, and it's going to create a bin. When you go to the master bin, you can create another one, and let's say add another bin, and let's just call this tux. So now I can just hold the first one again and then shift and then drag all that into there, and this one can go back to red. So now I have 2 bins, 2 folders, red suit and then the tuxedo, and that's all you really do in the media pool. It's just like organizing footage. Okay, next is the cut tab, which is basically a stripped down version of editing. I'm not really a fan of this, so we're gonna go up to your workspace, show page, and then just click on the cut to get rid of that. Here's the edit tab where you're gonna spend 90% of your workflow. So the media pool is basically where all your clips are. So you can see the red suit, the tux, and all the bins that we created. And if I want to play a clip, I can just watch it from here and press spacebar, and click another one, press spacebar. So if you want to get your clips onto your timeline, which is this thing here, all you do is click and then drag, and it should be there. So all your media will be here. So if you want to add pictures, music, let me just add a song just so you guys can see. I'm just going to add a song just so you guys can see. So you just go to your downloads, add a song. If you want to add an image, you can do that too. So now that we're back into the edit tab, you just have all your media here. So I'm gonna, for this example, just put my audio clip on the bottom, and then if I play it, the space is nothing, and then you see it here. So yeah, another way and a better way is when you're clicking on the clip here, the red outline is what's selected, and you're playing it, you can select I, and it's gonna create this like highlighted bar. And then if you spacebar is stop, by the way, and if you go O, it's gonna create this little segment here. And what that basically does is just cut that part, so then you can just import that section. and you can decide to import the audio if you need it or just the video. In my case, I just want to import the video, and it's gonna be in here. So that's how you have one clip. So now we're editing. As you see that I clicked and dragged the clip, you have to look at your audio. If you don't do what I do and just select the video, it will have the audio and it will actually intersect with your music or whatever you want to have playing. So just be conscious of that. You can just do that to fix it. If you have a clip in here and you want to cut it, you can click this blade thing right here, or the shortcut is B. When you're cutting, make sure to go back to this mouse or selector mode, or you can just click A and it will go back to selecting. Now that we have like a basic editing thing, something that helps is, now that you know how to put clips into your timeline, this is how you manipulate them. So when you go to the inspector on the right hand side, there's transform, cropping, blending modes, all these things. But in this video, we're just going to talk about basic keyframing. So I'm going to zoom in and let this play. Okay, so it's just playing, right? If I want to have the clip zoom in or move, I'm going to go to the beginning of the clip or beginning of this cut section and then hit this keyframe. And what that does is keyframe everything. You could do individually, but it just messes it up. So then I go to the end of the clip or close and do the same thing. And now I can zoom in, position it however I want it. Let's say I want to move it a little bit to the left and rotate. So now if you're watching the clip, you see how it's doing that? That's basically how that works. Blending modes are cool because you can mess with the opacity of something. Make sure you're doing it on the right clip. So let's say I just want to blend. You see, it's a trippy effect. When used right, you can do some cool things. Text, I stick with this basic text for the most part, but there are some cool like transitions or stock text that you can use. Diffusion, this is basically like more advanced effects. I wouldn't get into this if you're just starting. Maybe I'll do another video on that. The color tab is where you can color grade. So there's LUTs available. They might be too powerful, so you might just have to go down. Color grading, I just try to keep it light. Color grading can do a lot. But the cool thing here that most people will use is the stabilization. So you go to this icon, you switch to here in stabilizer, and you stabilize the clip. It's going to analyze it. It might take a while depending on the computer you have or depending on what you're doing to the clip. And when it's done, we're cropping a little bit, but it should stabilize the clip. If it looks kind of weird or wobbly, what you can do is like switch from perspective to similarity or to transform, and you can just play around with that. The audio tab, again, I really don't use this much. It's, to be honest, what I use is 90% of the time just the edit, occasionally fusion, color tab, and then this is how you export. So this line is everything that's going to be exported. So I just click O like we learned earlier. I label it whatever I want. I choose where I want this to be exported to. Here's the format. I would just stick to MP4 or MOV. The resolution, the frame rate. Even if you shoot something at 120, I would render it out at like 30 or 24. And then here's how you just add to render queue and then render all, and it'll appear where you sent it. Before I forget, I did promise to show you about ultra slow-mo. So this is how you do it in Davinci. What you do is click the clip and press Command R, and it's gonna give you this like blue lines or whatever. I go and I want this black arrow that goes both ways, and you just click and drag. When it's at 120, you can slow it down like 22 or 25 and it should still be good. So now this is the ultra slow-mo effect from the same clip. You can also do it by just clicking this down arrow and change speed. So let's say 75, or you can change the speed to 25% chance. Another cool thing while we're doing the slow-mo is you can add a speed point at any point that you want. So what this lets me do is I can go from 25 slow-mo to change the speed to maybe 50, and let's say I want to change the speed to 100. You can go like this, and that looks cool, but it might look better if I change this. Change the speed to 25, change the speed to let's say 100, and then you're going slow-mo, slow-mo, fast, slow-mo, slow-mo again. Depending on the shot, this looks cooler than others. And this is basically the basic technical side of editing. Editing is an art, so you do have to do a lot of things with your own discretion and decide whether you want to keep something in or keep something out. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's how it feels. So if I go to this last video I edited, might be a good way to explain. I started with font with my name, then I switched to the Vogue as you're seeing these layers. Then another layer comes, and here I'm kind of looking at the beat. So when this beat comes is where I want to cut. I never thought it'd be this. I'm jumping out of your arms. That was a speed ramp. So if you go here to Command R, you'll be able to see that I went from the 47 to even faster at 214 back to 21. This what they call the abyss. I fought and clawed for an inch, turning a miracle mile. And this part is cool because I can recall when you lived. This part is cool because I use a speed ramp and a fade. So when it goes from, let me show you. So to fade a clip, all you have to do is click here and then just fade it. So it will fade in, but I don't really want that. I want it to fade out just barely. So yeah, I just want it to barely fade out here. Maybe you can start here. So as this shot is going, this one comes. So it looks kind of smoothish. So this is just like having two shots and knowing when to put them together to make sense. That wasn't a perfect mask, but the best way I can describe masking is the video clips are like layers of paper. So here's one layer, here's another layer. If I move this layer, it's gonna slowly reveal what's underneath. Or if I cut this layer in whatever shape I decide, it's gonna reveal what's underneath again. So when you're masking, you're basically cutting up the top layer to reveal what's underneath. And that's what happened in this clip. How you do is pretty simple. You go to the coloring tab, you click this pen tool, and you keyframe. So as you can see, I'm cutting up the top layer and then it's revealing what's underneath. That's what masking is, like the short version. Hasn't been bright in a while. Yeah, so this video is like pretty simple, but finding the clips that you want in the right order can be hard. The music is always the hardest part for me. finding a music that fits the vibe right. So if you can find the music before you even shoot, that might be like the best solution, but it just takes time, and you just get better the more you do. So if you have any questions, leave a comment down below on how to use something in DaVinci or anything, and I'll get back to you when I can. Thank you, and see you in the next one.